Well, I don't. I think most people that know me know that I've been a baseball fan. For a long time. Played. I mean, I got one of my board members, Tommy Kidwell. We played against each other in high school and on the same team. Up at Yale there, and he was the captain my freshman year, and I ended up being the captain my senior year. And so I'm a big believer. But it's interesting. I was not. By the time I left for high school, the Rays still hadn't started. They started their first season was the year I was gone. And then obviously I've done different things, Navy, all this other stuff. And so I've never been here with actual full season Major League Baseball. Obviously we have spring training. But I look and see the Tampa Bay Lightning, like they sell out. It's like an amazing thing. Me growing up, I didn't know very many hockey fans, right? Almost everyone I knew liked baseball on some level. So that tells me is baseball can succeed in the Tampa Bay area. I have no doubt it can succeed. You have a reservoir, you have millions of people, and there's a high affinity for baseball in this community, but I think it's got to be done. I think you got to have the right ownership. I think the Lightning showed, when Jeff Bennett came in, he did a lot of great things and really built that into a great organization. And I think that the new Rays ownership is committed to doing that. And so the question is, you've got to get, I think, a mix of location. Obviously, you do need a more modern stadium, but then you also have to have other things that draw people to go. And so, that HCC site, those, first of all, it could be very good for HCC. And I've met with the president about it. I think he's excited about possibility. Obviously, they've got to iron out details, but basically, we're supportive of them pursuing that partnership because I think it could be good for the art of the region. Because, you go there, the football stadium's great, but it's like, it needs some love, I think, right? It needs some rejuvenation. And this could potentially be something, not just having a park, but having restaurants and having other things, a hotel, some other things where it becomes something that people are drawn to. So, I just want to see the team succeed in Florida, first and foremost, as a governor of the state. I don't want to lose the team from the state. But then I also think, just as somebody that grew up in this area, the Tampa Bay area needs to be able to have the first chance to make this work. Because I know there's other parts of Florida that want it too. I mean, Orlando wants it. Disney would love to put it at the Wide World of Sports. Universal could put it close to their parks, other folks. So I do think there's a lot of interest. And they're trying to get an expansion team. So I think you see a lot of interest there. But I think that this is where the franchise was born, and I know, like, they tried to do something with Pinellas. Now they're going to try something to do with Hill. I know there's a lot of irons in the fire, and they got to do. But I do think the right formula. I know this. I know it can succeed here, and I think that's good for the economy. I think it's good for the overall region and kind of camaraderie. It's good for kids to be able to have a franchise that you can really get behind and be excited about. I was just at the game yesterday, seeing some of the younger kids, rooting for Indiana or rooting for Miami. We could definitely get that going here. I mean, I'm thinking, like, when I was growing up, we were Braves fans. Like, we didn't even have a team in Florida. We liked the Braves, and we liked the, Dunedin, we kind of liked the Blue Jays because that was the spring training thing, and they were winning the World Series in the early 90s. So you had all those different things that are going. But, I think that I think the vision for what it would mean for HCC, because, there's a lot of things that, quite frankly, need to be done there, too, with some of their facilities. Now, I help with the one building that their kind of newest building. We did that under my tenure, and that's good. But some of the other stuff, really, I think is gotten older. So I think they've got, kind of a shared vision that could potentially be very, very good. But ultimately, I want to just see this be a successful enterprise in one way or another. And, my position on all this has always been the same in terms of what we do at the state level. Like, we don't, from our coffers, we're going to help finance a stadium or whatever. It's just not what the state of Florida done. That's been our policy for a long time. I mean, I know local communities can work that out differently if they see fit. But, if we can be helpful and kind of, facilitating some of this, for example, we have a facility on that property, the Department of Juvenile Justice. They've been planning to leave for a long time, so they are going to leave that area. So that could open up, some stuff for HCC or for some of this. So there's a lot of different things. We could also help with infrastructure so that we don't have bad traffic jams getting in. And so we've done that for a variety of different things. I mean, heck, we did getting off at an interchange in Ocala. They're going to put a Buc-ee's there and other stuff, but Buc-ee's can cause a big traffic backup, and so we're doing that, and that's a great thing to do. It's fine. We have Buc-ee's in Ocala, Tallahassee. We have Buc-ee's in, and then there's going to be one in Charlotte County. Those three, and I think maybe one more is on the horizon. Some people were telling me about this or that. So, you're going to potentially see that more on this side of the state. So we'll see, how it works out. But I definitely think that there should be reason for optimism for people that like baseball in this community and want to see the Rays, because they've produced some good players over the years. They've developed some good talent. It's a question of baseball's going through a period where you kind of have. You have Goliath, the Los Angeles Dodgers, who can just spend and spend. You've got a handful of other teams who can also spend way above and beyond what others. Then maybe one more, and then you get down to kind of the lower rung, the markets that haven't generated as much. If you're drawing 15,000 fans a game, it's going to be tough to be where you need to be. You can start drawing 25,000. Or even you could draw 25,000 in this area with the right circumstances, right? It's got to be a good location, it's got to be a good venue, it's got to have some stuff to draw. But if you're starting to do that, well, then all of a sudden, the viability of everything really goes up. And I know this is going to be an issue in terms of Rays and where they end up, but then also just you're going to have the 26th season. And then, there's going to be a collision course in Major League Baseball with the labor situation. And a lot of people are assuming that there's going to be a pretty lengthy lockout. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I do remember as a kid when they did that in '94, that had a lot of problems, I think, for stopping some of the momentum. Took them some years to kind of get back going. So we'll see how that is. But certainly the economics of the game is just a little bit different than you see in some of the other major sports. And not that it's not really a small market anymore. I mean, we've got, in just the Tampa Bay media market, it's expensive. I can tell you that. I've bought ads here running for governor. You've got millions of people that are within, however distance. But it's just, there's a lot to do in Florida. There's a lot of other pursuits. Same thing they're having in Miami. They built the stadium. It's nice. But there's just a lot of other pursuits. Whereas I think some of the areas, it's like, that's the thing that people want to do, especially come summertime, and that's that. So there's all these just different factors. But I think it can succeed. And I know that they've looked at a bunch of different things. But I think we should be optimistic about it, and I think it'd be good for this community.